Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Nerds with Friends. My name is Cody Leach, and I'm joined by Christian Garcia.
See,
it's a me, Christian.
that's a mix of me and Mario, I guess.
Yeah, it is. It's your name said in Mario's voice, who's Italian, and I don't know how I was trying to say your name. Thank you guys for coming by to the podcast, checking in every week with us. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe or a follow or whatever your podcasting platform asks you to do. That way you can keep up to date with all the new shows we do every single week, talking about all the nerdy things that happen in our world.
Leave a review. We like that shit.
Yeah, we do. We do read all of those, and we respond to a lot of them if it lets us respond. Yeah, we sometimes even review things that we're not super stoked about, like we are today, which was the movie Morbius, led by Mr. Jared Leto, who, in my opinion, should stick to being in a band. I think.
When's the last time they did an album?
I have no idea. I don't know any of their songs. I maybe if you played some of their popular ones, I might have heard them, but not a big 30 Seconds to Mars fan. But yes, his long-awaited Morbius, the Living Vampire movie has come out. So we'll be talking about that today, as well as Sony's plans for their, cinematic universe, if you want to call it that, because they're making some strange choices. So, all of that coming for you after our little break and our nerdy confessions. Make sure you stop by patreon.com/nerdswithfriends to become a patron of our show. Give us some dollary dues. Patrons' support is how we upgrade equipment and see movies that we don't want to see, because movies are expensive and we want to spend our hard-earned dollary dues on good movies, So, but sometimes we got to cover the bad stuff too, So we do appreciate all of our patrons who already support us. You guys are the fucking best. But let's start the show, as we always do, with some nerd confessions. Nerdy confessions. Where we confess the things that make us nerds. Christian.
See.
Why are you a nerd?
Where do I start?
Where do I start?
Want to open Pandora's box. Okay, you like Fast and the Furious, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so you are...
Guilty pleasure, for
Yeah,
sure.
you do like bad movies.
It's one of the highest grossing, what do you call franchises of all time.
Oh, but that's not all I base it on a bad movie. Sure, it could make a lot of money. Titanic made a lot of money. Never seen it. Just guessing it was bad. Whatever.
No, I mean, for what it was a good movie.
I'm just blindly judging without seeing it.
Can't believe you haven't seen Titanic.
No, why? I don't know. I know history.
I remember
the ship didn't make it.
I remember
what's to fucking watch
when the Titanic movie came out on video on VHS tape for you youngins out there. And the best part was you could just pop in tape 2 and watch the boat sink and all the people dying. It was like, skip all that love story shit.
You watched it in beta, don't lie.
It did not come out in beta. It wasn't that old.
No, so nerdy confession is that I watched the Fast and the Furious. Obviously, I've only seen Tokyo Drift, and people are like, that's the one you saw? That one sucks. I don't know. It had a better production value. For what it was, enjoyed Tokyo Drift. But
I think Tokyo Drift's, it's not a bad movie. It's just a weird place to start because it's like the third movie.
Yeah.
But I will say, if you just watch that movie by itself, except for like that after credits scene where I think like Dom shows up or something like that. Like it's its own story. You don't have to have watched the previous ones.
Honestly, it came out like when pay-per-view was still a thing and you can steal cable. I saw it on pay-per-view.
Nice.
And I was like, oh, this is cool. There's hot Japanese girls.
Oh yeah.
The music was cool for the time. I liked it.
Yeah.
I feel like people still play that one song with the Japanese girls, like screaming, Japanese screamo, whatever.
Yeah, probably.
But so I watched it and I was like, fuck, Cody gives me shit for Temple of Doom when this is a bad movie. I enjoyed it. I'm not judging anyone for liking it, but it is a fucking bad movie. The dialogue.
It's not meant for you, Christian.
I enjoyed it.
It's meant for people who live their life a quarter mile at a time.
Like Dom, quarter mile at a time. Like
Dom and Brian.
The dialogue was dumb. The premise was dumb. I don't think they knew where it was going while they were filming it.
Absolutely not.
I think it was more like, so what are we filming today? Like, sure. Who are we making the bad guys? The cops are the bad guys? No, the truckers are the bad guys. No, maybe all of them are the bad guys. Like, it's just, it wasn't going anywhere. The one dude who hated I forget the guy that died. Oh my god,
Paul Walker.
Paul Walker. The one guy on Dom's
Brian is his name in the movie.
Yeah, he had a Jewish name, right?
I don't know what his last name was, but his first name is Brian. But
like the guy who hated him because they both wanted to bang the underage girl. Like that was just weird. Dom's sister. Like they never really clarified her age. All they would said is like, oh yeah, if I wanted to get into that underage girl's panties, like one cop said to Brian, it's like, I get it. I jerked off to her pictures, and then he like punches him. Don't talk about her that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was bad.
Well. So what the first movie was in particular was it was like Point Break, but for street racers. You know, where the undercover cop goes to infiltrate the gang, but he becomes part of the gang because he sees their lifestyle.
Thank you, Cody. You put it into perspective. Yes, it is a shitty Point Break. Yes.
It's just a different Point Break, you know? If you're not into like surfing and extreme sports, but you're into like cars, it's like, oh, this is cool. And I think for me, you know, the thing that always got me was I'm a big car fan. I've always liked, I was the kid who had the picture of the Lamborghini posted up in his room and stuff.
They made fun of those cars, like
it was
a Ferrari that they made.
Ferrari, right? And then I think it was in the first one too when they raced the two muscle car guys, the guy with the blue Camaro.
No, not in this one.
Oh, okay. Maybe that was in Too Fast, Too Furious or something. At one point, they race a guy who's got this like sick ass like 1969 Camaro SS. And
unless you're talking about Dom's car towards the end,
that one is sick too. That was Challenger, I think.
And I was like, you show that at the end?
I know.
It was that was probably the best car that they showed.
Oh, so sick. They show that car in future movies too. Like he rebuilds it or whatever. But yeah, and I just always love that kind of stuff. So like I think that's why it really spoke to me. But yeah, you know, I'll admit, like they're not cinematic masterpieces by any stretch of the imagination.
Ew, dialogue was terrible.
And what's crazy about it is, so now that you've seen the first one, eventually you should try to get through more of them because right around.
Oh, my plan is I'm gonna go through them now.
Yeah, so once you get to like Fast and Furious like 4 or 5, and I don't know what the titles are because they go like, you know, it's like Fast and the Furious, Too Fast, Too Furious, Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. Then it's like Fast and Furious. They took the out of it. And then it was like Fast 5, and then it was Furious 6, and then it was like Furious 7, and then it was like Fate of the Furious. Like it gets so crazy. But like you'll see like right around 4 or 5, they stop being like car racing movies and they start being like secret agent action blockbusters. And then by like by the 7 and 8, I think they just turn into straight up superhero movies. Like they're doing things that are literally impossible.
No, and like the first race, like I can't believe when they were filming it or doing, if you would call it, computer graphics,
right?
Like how bad it looked,
right?
And how ridiculous. Like they're going 140,
yeah,
and they were acting like they were going rocket speed
when they hit the fucking NOS, and they're like.
Yeah. I was like, it's 140. I've definitely hit 120 in cars.
Yeah.
It don't feel like that.
Yeah, I know.
Not even close.
I know. Yeah, they're just trying to, they've definitely taken some liberties on like, first of all, what nitrous actually does to a car and like how fast it would actually be. Like, you know, they got the computer set up diagnosing his car and But yeah, man, it is one of my guiltiest pleasures for sure.
And to me, the best character they had was the super nerdy car guy. They killed him.
Yeah,
like he was the best one. Like, and and clearly, like we've advanced on discovering I don't want to say mental disorders or whatever disabilities. But when he's saying, why are you so into cars? Like, oh, I can't pay attention to things. As he's super paying attention to something, he's building a car.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I just can't focus on anything else except this. I'm like, oh, That sounds like he's autistic to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but
probably got ADD or something. Or
that's what he
ADHD.
said he had. I was like, I don't know. He seems to be really focused on what he's doing right now.
Yeah, he just wouldn't talk to anybody if it was autistic. He'd just be sitting there, and he would design the best cars, but like no one would know about it.
No,
he'd be in his room alone. Yeah, I know. It's an interesting show or a series of movies to kind of watch its progression, because it has just gotten fucking stupid.
Although I will say, and I will give it to this, the one bald Mexican guy who's always playing a villain in anytime they're like, we need Cholo.
Mexican gang member number 3.
And it's always the same guy, the bald guy with the mustache.
Yeah, I forget his name.
He looks
like a famous character actor.
And he looks like the symbol that you see everywhere, where it's like the sunglasses and the mustache and that weird hat. Like
the Lowrider magazine.
Yeah, he looks like that without the glasses and like the hat. But it was nice to see him like, oh, he's not playing like a thug or a dummy. Like,
yeah, he's actually just a normal dude.
He's just a normal dude. He was just buying car parts and cash. That's all he was doing.
Yeah, where'd he get the cash though?
Oh, they didn't go into that, and I appreciate it. Yeah. But it was, I enjoyed it. But you like bad movies too.
Yeah.
You
yeah, that I've said it before. It's one of my earliest nerdy confessions, is that it's one of my guiltiest pleasures. Like, there's no reason I should like those movies, but I fucking love them. Because I've just at some point I've just embraced how ridiculous they are.
And it's silly.
And they always do have the coolest cars. Like they jump a GT500 off of a cliff in the latest.
So you definitely dip your toes in bad movies.
Yeah.
You just gotta expand.
I'm not gonna go swimming around in there, but I'll dip my toes in from time to time.
So I'm curious to where from 2 to 3 it goes, but who knows? Maybe I'll watch another one tonight. But
there you go.
I enjoyed it, but it's a fucking bad movie.
Yeah, they only get bad.
And like, why was Ja Rule in it? Like,
Ja Rule's always in it, bro. No, I don't think he comes back ever, but they do get like Ludacris shows up at one point, and Tyrese is one of the main guys. There's some star
they're like,
power.
we got to get some of the urban folk to watch it. Yeah, just put a rapper in there. It's fine. They'll go watch it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that part was also ridiculous when he was racing. This girl's like, I'm yours whether you win or lose. And she like lets him feel on a boob. Yeah. And he's like, but if you win, you get both of us. And then like points to another girl. And then he loses. And then she's straight up like, she's not black. I don't know. Maybe she was white. Maybe she was Italian. Definitely tanned. But she just calls him the N-word. Like, nice. Straight up in the movie. I was like,
It was a different time.
Yeah, 21 years ago, I guess you could say that.
Yeah. Well, for some reason, there's a lot of, there's a lot of white guys who just think they can throw that around. White people, I should say. Not to uninclude anybody. But I don't know. Back then, it was definitely worse, for sure. Alrighty, my nerdy confession. It's actually, I think, kind of shared it with Christian. So Tuesday we finished our D&D campaign.
Yeah, it's crazy.
2 years of playing the same campaign finally came to an end, and it feels crazy.
It does. It feels weird knowing the next Tuesday we don't got a game lined up.
Yeah, I know.
A game that might get canceled because X and X reason.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I mean, I think that's what's so cool about it, is that to get 6 adults who have, adult lives and adult schedules
in different places in
California, to all get together and spend a couple hours a week playing a game with each other is a feat unto its own. And to have done it all the way through completion for 2 years, almost to the day. I think today was the 2-year anniversary.
It's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, it was cool. It was it feels really weird to be done with it, because I've done complete D&D adventures before, but they've always they've been short ones,
Yeah.
And this one, having been so long, it's just like, God damn, that was crazy. And I'm excited to do another one, but also I'm excited to take a little bit of a break. So it's a
if I knew Roll20 better,
yeah,
I would be down to DM.
Yeah. And I mean, I will say that's one of the cool things about doing this, because we started this campaign right when the pandemic hit, because we can't go out and do a bunch of stuff, so why not, let's figure this out and start doing it together. And I will say that learning Roll20 is pretty cool because you realize how powerful of a program it is.
Yeah.
And like even if you were to like play in person, I think I would still use Roll20 for certain things.
Well, what's cool is you don't have to draw up the map or create like these like elaborate pieces. You know, it could almost feel like a Critical Role type thing, or Dice Legends without having to build these pieces. You know,
right? Exactly. You know, I think the coolest part, especially as a DM, is that you can have all your bad guys and have their tokens and stuff like that, their stat blocks and stuff. So this is kind of cool. Check out this feature that we did, Christian. We can actually watch this right as we on our video here. If we switch to this.
Oh, look at that.
So here's kind of how Roll20 looks. And you can see that you have your little chat thing on the side. But the best part about it, especially as a DM, is you can go into here and you can like here's the dragon you guys are fighting. And so I have all my separate little attacks and such there. And then I can click on this and then it pulls up the character sheet, it pulls up her whole stat block. And so even if we were playing this in person, I could just have this, and I wouldn't even have to roll any dice because I could just, click on the claw attack. That's how her attacks were. It was fucking 26 doing 15 damage, and she would do like tack, bite, tail whip. It's just like a bunch of damage. And so like it takes a lot of that prep work out of being a DM, where now you don't have to like write all these handwritten notes and stuff like that. You can even have the entire module in there. So you have all of the lore and stuff that you need to read through. You could have all of the maps and stuff on there. So you could still have a map in front of you when you're playing with your friends. But you have a reference to draw it out and where things are and stuff. So it takes a lot of that guesswork out. So if you're into Dungeons and Dragons, especially as a DM, and you haven't checked out Roll20, I would definitely recommend it because it's a very powerful tool. And if you really want to get fancy with it, I've seen people who take like cheap flat screen TVs and like put them in like an IKEA table or whatever, and then you just run your computer into that. That would be really cool because you can do lighting effects and all sorts of fun stuff. So very powerful tool, and I definitely wouldn't have done that whole campaign without it because there's a lot of stuff to do for that. But yeah, man, I'm excited to get on to the next adventure once we figure that out.
Maybe on my days off, I'll study, trying to learn how to DM on it.
Yeah. Well, I could always show you a couple little tips and tricks. But once you get the hang of it, and there's still stuff that I don't do on it, but it does have quite the wealth of helpful, handy tools. So if you're into D&D, check out roll20.net. It's you won't regret it. Okie dokie. Well, let's take a quick little break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about Morbius by Sony Pictures with Jared Leto. We'll be right back. And we're back. All right, Christian. Well, it's time to talk about our favorite movie of the year.
The Audience's Choice Award.
The Audience Choice Award. So let's do our spoiler-free review first. For those people who are interested in seeing Morbius but maybe don't know much about it, don't know if it's worth watching. I will say this. It is one of the most predictable superhero movies I've seen in quite some time.
Okay.
Like I knew very early in, I'm like, oh, that's the bad guy. That guy is going to do this. This guy's going to do this. This is going to happen. And it's just like, it was so predictable and so boring. And I will say, for a vampire movie where like the whole deal with Morbius is he's essentially a vampire, he needs blood or he loses his powers and starts getting his debilitating disease back. It was so PG-13, it was ridiculous.
No, yeah, it definitely would have. Maybe, I guess we'll say maybe been better as R-rated.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, it was very predictable for sure.
Yeah, it only could have helped if it was rated R, because there's a lot of like throat ripping and like blood sounds, but you don't see any.
That's true.
You don't see any much blood anyway. Even when he's drinking it from the bag, it's not like running down his chin or anything. You see him put his hand over his mouth to like suck in the blood.
Oh, he's got to get every drop, man.
Right. Yeah, but they do that so it wouldn't spill out. So you don't see him drinking it. You put two and two together, but yeah, it was just, I don't know, man. It was just not good. And then the end credit scene, they do try to tie it into like their own cinematic universe, and it's just like the most inconsequential, like weird tie-in they tried to do ever, and I just don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
I can't say much more without spoiling it, but I would say wait for this one to come out on HBO Go or HBO Max or whatever, or Netflix or whatever. It is. Do not spend your hard-earned dollars on this one. I've heard Sonic 2 is pretty cool. I would go check that out.
Yeah, I've been wanting to watch it. I haven't got a chance.
Yeah, me too. I like the first Sonic movie, but yeah, this Morbius, man. And what's so funny is it had so many delays, and like I don't know if that's production delays or just trying to get a better release date with the pandemic and everything, but like it was not worth the wait. You know what I mean?
No, well, honestly, I wanted to watch Sonic 2 more, but I was curious, and maybe it's my love for bad movies, but it was getting trashed so much on Twitter and social media before it even came out, and it was getting trashed everywhere by people who saw the press screening, which we actually had press screening, which I wish we should have gone now. We wouldn't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
But I was more curious, like, okay, can it be as bad as people were saying? And I'll say this, it wasn't as bad as people were saying. I'm not saying it was a great movie, but it wasn't as bad as people were saying. And I think a lot of it has to do with the people saying that, Jared Leto is a pedo. I am not a jury. I don't know. Not saying he is, not saying he isn't. He hasn't been convicted. But I think a lot of it had to do with that. And I guess once we do the spoiler, or once we start talking about the movie, we'll go into it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I will say a couple plus sides to it. I think some of the CG looked really cool. Some of like the action and stuff looked pretty cool.
Well, that was like when
some of it looked really bad though too.
When I asked Cody, "Have you seen it?" He's like, "No." Is it terrible? I was just like, "I like the way Morbius looked."
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I think he did look pretty cool. Here's kind of a little picture of how he looked. I think it's not a bad character design. I just think the main problem is that the story was just shite, but anyway. So yeah, that's the best we can do for a spoiler-free review. I would not recommend it. Hey, if you're bored and it's on streaming service of your choice, by all means check it out. At least that way you could like turn it off halfway through if you want, you know what I mean? But yeah, let's get into some spoiler talks. Spoilers are happening, so if you haven't seen Morbius and you don't want the incredibly complex plot ruined for you, I would stop and go check it out. But let's talk some spoilers, Christian. So, start of the movie, Dr. Michael Morbius is in the jungle, and he's gonna get some bats, right? Flies a helicopter in to this bat cave, in front of this bat cave, and the guy's like, "We got to get out of here before it's nighttime." I'm like, first of all, you just got here. Second of all, you're in a helicopter, so let's calm down, okay? And then they get some vampire bats out. He's talking about how they have all these cool properties. I think one of the biggest problems is like we never really find out what his blood disease does. We know it.
Well, I mean, what, it made his body all weak and he had to be on crutches.
Yeah, but I get that. We could tell that by looking at him. But like, what is it doing that does that? Because like, it seems like they were talking about the anticoagulants in the bats thing. So it was like, is his blood like, chunking up, and then how does that affect his legs and stuff? We don't really know. They just kind of glossed over that, which is a fairly important part of this story. Is like,
I don't need to get into the science of things.
I just need like a line of dialogue is all I need. You know what I mean? Just like, oh, this will stop my veins from collapsing or whatever. It's like, oh, okay, so that's what it does, and then we can go on and move from there. But we just all we know is that like for some reason bats are the cure, but we have no explanation as to why.
And again, maybe it's from my love of 80 movies where you don't need an explanation. It's just
magic.
It's just that's what it is, and that's what I wrote, and that's what it is. So that part didn't bother me. No, one of the biggest things that bothered me, and it's not specifically tied to Morbius, and I'll even go say Marvel and superheroes do this a lot, that when they're introducing a character, the villain has to have the same powers or abilities as the main character. And again, that's not strictly to Morbius. Iron Man did it,
It's like, it's like an overdone trope, Sonic the Hedgehog is a perfect example, seeing as that's in theaters now. Knuckles. Who's Knuckles? Oh, he's kind of like an evil Sonic, but he's got spikes on his hands.
Well,
oh, okay, cool.
And again,
Flash, Reverse Flash.
Yeah.
Flash and Dr. Zoom or whatever. Flash and any other Flash villain.
Yeah, and again, Doctor Strange and Mads Mikkelsen. I don't remember the character's name. Which slightly
Baron Mordo or whatever.
Slightly bugged me. Other movies do it, but what really bugged me is at least in the Marvel films when they do that, there's a clear motivation of why they're doing this. In this, both of them seem to be solid guys. They seem to be all right dudes.
No, but remember his friend beat up that bully kid who beat him up.
Okay,
so that makes him evil.
See, like my fiance said the same thing. He's like, "Oh, well, clearly he was evil because he smacked that kid. He was a crippled child, and they were teasing him all the fucking time.
Yeah,
and I bet when he's obviously can't build muscle. When he swung his little crutch, I doubt that barely hurt.
Well, the thing that's so funny is in the movie when that happens, I'm like, that's going to be the bad guy. Because they don't understand how social dynamics work. So they're thinking, oh, this guy hit that kid. He can't control his emotions. He's evil. I'm like, but in reality, no one would blame that kid for doing that. Ever.
Months or years even of being teased and poked fun of for no reason.
Also, let's look at those bullies in general. When have you ever seen a group of children who their whole deal is beating up cripple kids? That doesn't exist. There's no way. There's no way.
Oh, I don't know. I don't put it. There's enough evil in the world where I can fight.
Maybe, but there's not a whole group of 6 of them. You know what I mean? They're like, oh yeah, look at all these cripple kids. Dude, that's so stupid. And then it's such lazy writing when you have something like that. You're like, oh, those kids are evil. There's no nuance to it. And then the mercenaries, who are on the boat. They're like,
Cody, that one guy was clearly sexist.
Yeah, that guy was clearly sexist.
They had to die.
So literally him and his entire team had to be murdered. It's like, okay, well, the whole point of Morbius, and I'm not, let me get this out of the way. I'm not a big Morbius fan. I don't know a lot about him and his backstory, but I've read a little bit in preparation for the movie coming out and everything. And it seems to me that part of his character is that he's kind of like this anti-hero character where his powers, make it so that it's necessary for him to consume human blood, right? There's not a lot of easy ways of doing that without doing harm to people, right? And so what that means is that sometimes he's going to do that to people who maybe don't entirely deserve it. Right. But when every time he does it in this movie, it's right before he does it, that person does something incredibly evil or sexist or prejudice, and it's just come on, man. That's just if there's no sort of area where you're like, ooh, I don't know if he's really a good guy, then like, what's the point of the character? You know what I mean? Like, oh, he's just the one good vampire. And you're right. His friend Milo turns evil for no reason.
Okay. And so like
not just like a little evil where he's like, I can't control it, and you just do it. He's like, no, he's like, I'm going to find his girlfriend and I'm going to murder her. Why? I don't know. Just to get back at my friend because I want him to drink human blood too.
It didn't make any sense. Like when he sees Morbius, like all of a sudden he sees him. Oh my God, you're healthy and buff. Like what happened? He's like, oh, I took this. Cool. Can I have some too? No. It's a curse.
And you're a bad person for asking.
Yeah. No, this is a curse. Like, wait, so you're buff, you can move around.
You're not going to die tomorrow.
You're not going to die tomorrow. Where's the curse part? Like, yeah. I get why his friend...
I have to consume human blood. You don't understand. I'm like, you mean that entire freezer full of human blood you have?
Yeah.
That literally hurt nobody?
I can't share that reserve.
Yeah. No, that's for me, though. It's my cross to bear.
It was just so stupid. Like, that part, I could understand why his friend being mad. You know, right. That makes sense. Like, wait, so you're fine if you survive, but it's okay if I die? Right. That kind of makes sense. But to go and turn full evil at the rest of humanity.
Right. Well, also what's funny, too, is like, okay, so, he says, no, you can't have it, and his friend Milo leaves. And then all of a sudden we see someone attacking this nurse in the hallway or whatever. So I went to the bathroom at that time, because I was, drank a large Pepsi or whatever and wasn't super committed. And when I came back and, I see the nurse getting her throat ripped out and they're like, oh no, Michael Morbius. And he's like, oh no, did I lose control again? Like when I got back, I'm like, and the big reveal comes that, oh no, it was Milo who did that. I'm like, oh, they didn't show that? Like I asked my buddy Alex, I'm like, wait, he didn't know that Milo did that? It was so obvious. He was like, no, yeah, they didn't show that.
No.
We're just finding out now. It's so predictable. And then let's talk a little bit about, so Tyrese, who's also in the Fast and Furious movies.
Okay.
And then Al Madrigal are the two cops.
Yep,
right?
The comedian.
Right, yeah, Al Madrigal is a stand-up comedian. He's done some TV stuff and sketch stuff too. So Tyrese was originally supposed to have a bionic arm. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah. He was like I don't know, 2 years ago, he's like, oh yeah, this is going to blow people's minds when they see all the powers my arm does. Completely cut from the movie. And then because of that, like he was almost completely cut from the movie. Did you notice that halfway through, Al Madrigal was the only cop that really had any sort of involvement? Yeah. And also, so when Morbius is running away from Tyrese in the beginning, when they first find out, and he's like jumping and teleporting all the way up to the roof, right? Yep. Tyrese is running on his human legs up to the roof, and Morbius gets up there. He's like, oh no, and he kind of feels like, oh, maybe I could fly, but maybe I can't. Seconds later, Tyrese shows up there, like, how did you get up there that fast? And then he's just like, enough. He's like, and then he just stops. I'm like, you literally like jumped up an entire skyscraper up to the roof. You almost flew off the roof and probably could have jumped to another building. But that guy just saying enough, you're just like, yeah, you're right.
It was a robotic arm.
I'm done.
That wasn't there.
Yeah, they cut out the bionic arm shooting lasers at him or whatever. Yeah, man, it was so silly, so predictable. Also, so the big like fight at the end between Morbius and Milo, they're having a vampire off essentially, and Morbius having been used to his powers a little bit longer.
Oh, summons the bats.
He kind of like he can do the echolocation and stuff like that better, and he's more in control, and then he can fly and stuff like that, where Milo's still kind of figuring out. But then he does the thing with the bats. Why can't Milo do the thing with the bats? Because they took the exact same stuff.
He wasn't good enough. He was just evil. I don't know.
The bats could sense the evil in him. The bats are the true test of who's good.
I guess. No, it was that was really goofy. There was a lot of goofy parts in it for sure. Yeah, and like one of the things that bugged me, like in the comics, he stays in vampire form, and that is
all the time,
all the time, and that is one of the curse of it. People are terrified when they see him, even when he becomes an actual hero, not a villain, people see him and they freak out. Obviously, like, oh shit, you look fucking like Ozzy Osbourne who's about to eat a bat.
Yeah.
So obviously people are freaked out, and like that part, like
that's kind of how he looks.
Yeah, and I feel like that was more of a Jared Leto thing. It's like, wait, you're not gonna have this handsome face? Like, I gotta stay this weird vampire thing the whole time?
Yeah, so. I think it's kind of like the same thing that is kind of cursing the Halo show, is that like, okay, we've paid this high profile actor a bunch of money, and also CGI is very expensive, so let's just have him be normal mode most of the time, or just walking around with his helmet off, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, so stupid.
All right.
First of all, like if it's, you know, if you've got like the crazy makeup and stuff on it, like maybe you don't need Jared Leto. You can get someone who's not as good of an actor, you just CG them doing whatever you want, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the part that really pissed me off,
sure,
was the end credits.
Or
the
credits.
After credits.
Yeah. Okay. So what happens in the after credits, Christian? Lead us through it.
So they did a very lazy computer graphics of like the sky turning different colors. It looked very bad. It looked like they got an intern to do it.
Yeah.
Which
copy and paste.
Yeah. Like there was better graphics in Ghostbusters, like the original, like with the sky stuff. And so this,
yeah, it was like the purple sky opening from like
and it
No
was
Way
just
Home.
really fucking weird. Cuts to a scene where
Michael Keaton, Adrian Toomes
shows up in a jail cell for no reason, and the jail's like, "Oh, we don't have you registered here."
No, you're forgetting the best part. The first thing he says upon being transported to a different jail cell, well, I hope the food's better in this joint.
Yeah, it's like, so you just accepted it? You just knew? Not like I had a seizure, I could have been drugged, I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're just like, oh, well, we don't see a record of you here, so we gotta let you go. Mind you, he's in a full prison outfit.
Yeah.
Maybe we, like, you know, some clerical error.
Yeah, maybe we should check that out, look into it a little bit.
Like, we better just let him go, I guess. He gets out. Somehow, being in a new dimension, still has his wings from what he found and created in the Battle of New York.
Yeah, and so the first one is him getting out, released from the prison that he was in or whatever. Then the mid-credit scene, you see Jared Leto driving through the desert in a Porsche. First of all, he can fly.
Yeah.
Second of all, he was based in New York. Where's there a desert near New York? Okay, two things out of the way. So he pulls up to his stop sign, and then you see something off in the distance, and it flies in, and it's Vulture with a new Vulture suit, right? And it looks different than the one from the Spider-Man movie because he was transported to this dimension with nothing, just in his prison suit.
So
he made a new suit.
We have to assume that there was a Battle of New York there, even though they've never mentioned any Avengers, anything of the sort. So.
Right.
Or maybe he got teleported with him. That would be the lazy way of writing it in, I guess.
Yeah, and then and so he's like, hey, hey, what's up, Doc? I think I'm not sure how I got here, but I think it has something to do with Spider-Man.
Yeah, and then Morbius is like,
I think you and me should maybe team up, and maybe we could do some good.
He's like, and then Morbius just like, Spider-Man?
No.
Like he was mad or interested. It's like, they've never interacted.
No, I don't think he even said Spider-Man. He just said intriguing. And
or maybe
that was it. And it was like, okay. Let's. First of all, it was very clearly not Michael Keaton in that other thing because he never takes his helmet off.
Okay.
Like that was something they shoehorned in there after No Way Home came out. Or
probably.
whatever.
They're like, oh shit, people love that?
Yeah.
We're going to do a little bit of that.
Yeah,
next.
exactly. And then, yeah. Okay, so is Vulture actually doing good, like becoming a good guy? Why does he mention Spider-Man if there's no Spider-Man in this universe? Is there a Spider-Man in this universe? The Sam Raimi Spider-Man poster was not from the trailers. Was not.
It was not in the movie. No.
Right. Which there was a couple things not in the movie, like Vulture and Morbius meeting in prison. Right.
Yeah.
That happened in the trailer as well. Yeah, man, it was just
also.
so strange.
I don't think they did the whole Venom thing that was in the trailer.
So he did the I am Venom, but he didn't do the I'm just kidding, it's Dr. Michael Morbius at your service. He didn't do that. And so what was so strange about that part where he's like, we are Venom or whatever is, okay, the only people who ever heard that are dead. They got eaten by Venom. Okay. So it's not like one of those things like if someone said, I am Iron Man in the MCU, because Tony Stark said that at a press conference.
Yeah. So people,
okay. So it becomes an iconic line in the universe, not just to us as moviegoers. Right. And so when he says that, like, what that guy's just be like, what do you mean? Like, we don't know a person named Venom. Like they've always said, oh, there's that thing in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't know who, no one in this universe knows who Venom is. Right. It's just very strange.
Yeah, and like it pissed me off so much that they pulled. I really enjoyed Vulture as a villain. He was great. It's like, dude, you're gonna pull him from a franchise that is working to put him in a franchise that obviously
that you're just forcing.
You're forcing in there. It's like, why would you do that? And I guess it's because they're working on Craven and I guess Madam Web, but I don't know. I unless Sony's like, okay, we're just going to let's introduce these characters on our side, and we've accepted that we do shit versions. But then when Marvel does it, it's great and awesome. So let us introduce it, and then it'll go back and forth. That would be probably the best case scenario.
I can't think of a good way for this to work out because, so in this universe, we have Morbius, Venom
Falcon now.
The Vulture. Yeah. And it's like, okay. And maybe later on we'll have Craven.
Madam Web was not a villain, but they've already said that they casted her. So
yeah, and I just don't understand why. None of these characters make sense without Spider-Man.
No.
Are they just counting on like MCU being like, you know what, we're done with Spider-Man. We don't want to make any movies. You guys can have him back.
We're sick of making millions of dollars. Yeah, take it back.
Billions of dollars. It's so frustrating.
I think, I think Into the Spider-Verse was a blessing and a curse. Like right. It was such a good movie. Like, and that was but the curse is that like Sony's like, well, we can do it. We've been fucking this up for a little bit, but we can do it. Look what we did here. But it's not.
Even the first Venom movie, which like did okay, and it wasn't a terrible movie.
No, I'll stand by what I said. It was a good movie. It was an okay movie if it wasn't titled Venom.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Just like the Halo show currently going on would be an okay sci-fi movie or show if it wasn't called Halo. But yeah, it's just it boggles my mind that a company who's created somewhat of an empire of making movies can't like piece together a decent story anymore.
I think it goes to show that you need someone like Kevin Feige who has an overarching idea of like how a vision of how things are going to go, and you can do individual movies, but you still know like 10 moves ahead of what's going to happen.
Right.
Which is like, I'm like, now that being said, I'm okay with Edgar Wright not doing Ant-Man. Like, though I would have loved to have seen Edgar Wright doing Ant-Man, but the fact that he wasn't willing to play ball with Kevin Feige was that it wouldn't have fit in with the rest of the stuff. So.
Right, exactly. And I think, I think Marvel, and we've said this before, I think where they succeed is that they set out to make a good movie first. Like their goal with Iron Man was to make the best Iron Man movie they could possibly make, right? Jon Favreau was a big fan, wanted to get the right Tony Stark, the right Iron Man suit, and they wanted to make the story good. That movie stands on its own. It's not like at the end of that movie, he's like, I need a team. I need to put together a team, and then they're starting to put together the Avengers already. No. There's a little like after credits hint at something, but that's it. So there's just these little strings kind of tying it back to a bigger universe. But nothing in the Iron Man movie hints to something larger, right? It's just Iron Man. The Hulk movie, same way. Love it or hate it, with what's his name, Edward Norton. Like, it was just a Hulk movie, He's not like, It's not one of the Infinity Stones turning him into the Hulk, or it's not.
That wasn't Sony, was it? No.
No.
But
that was Marvel Studios.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Yeah, and so it's like they set out to make good movies first. That in the after credit scene they have little ties into something else, right? Something bigger, just hints at it. But Kevin Feige in the background, he knows where all these threads are headed, right?
Yeah.
His goal after the first 2 movies, it would be cool. These are turning out good. What if we, teamed them all up, where you have people like Sony, who's just okay, what property do we have? We have Spider-Man, but we can't use actual Spider-Man in our own movie right now because we signed the deal of a lifetime with Marvel, where they'll just make a kick-ass movie and we just get money from it. But what else? How else can we squeeze some of this character out? And they start using his side characters. You got Venom, who makes no sense as a character without Spider-Man. And same thing with Carnage. You know what I mean? They're all related directly back to Spider-Man. Madam Web, her entire deal is dealing with Spider-Man. What is her movie going to be about?
Well, I mean, she is a mutant. She's psychic. Her last name just so happens to be Webb, and she happens to see a lot of Spider-Man's future. Right. But I mean, it's just tied so heavily to Spider-Man. It is going to be weird.
It's like making a Jarvis movie without Iron Man in it. You know what I mean? Who gives a shit, right? I mean, I guess Warner Brothers did do the Alfred Pennyworth TV show without Batman in it, so and to be fair, the Commissioner Gordon, the Gotham,
it was mostly
series. So, but it's dude, what are you doing? Just stop. Marvel just needs, or Disney needs to buy Sony Pictures. I think that's how we resolve this.
But I don't know if they can buy Sony Pictures. They'd have to buy Sony.
Yeah, and
Sony's still pretty big, man.
I know, but they should buy them.
It'll happen eventually.
Yeah, they're gonna buy everyone eventually. You hear Elon Musk's trying to buy Twitter?
Yeah, it's so stupid.
Yeah,
it's not gonna happen.
So he can really run the economy into the dumpster. But yeah, Morbius I just don't know where they were going with it, and it's frustrating because they could have made a very cool character and a very cool interesting anti-hero story. Where
I just wish they had left it to Marvel because Blade is coming up and Morbius and Blade have history. It's in the
Midnight Suns.
And the Midnight Suns,
Ghost
I
Rider.
mean, it's one of the reasons why Blade doesn't have any of the weaknesses of your traditional vampire is because
I bet that rubs Morbius the wrong way.
Yeah,
it's wait, you get to walk around in the daytime, look like Wesley Snipes, and
Well, Morbius can walk in the daytime.
Oh, that's true, I guess. Yeah.
It's so that's where he gets his so he's more like an actual vampire. He gets bit by Morbius and it mutates him into where now he doesn't have the weaknesses. It just wasn't in the original movie. So I was like, oh, maybe if they do a good enough movie, it will cross over and maybe, with the vampires it'll make sense, but I can't see that happening now.
Yeah, I doubt it. Yeah, it kind of, it takes away from, the Midnight Suns, darker characters dealing with occult type stuff. I just don't see that happening. I don't see Morbius as part of that. You know what I mean? But yeah, but let us know what you guys think. Did you love Morbius? Is Jared Leto your favorite person? Because if he is, you could unsubscribe to us.
Are you saying Leto because it ran or Leto?
Jared Leto.
Leto.
I don't know how it's actually supposed to be.
I thought it was Leto. I thought you were saying Leto because it sounds like pedo, and then just because
no,
he's been accused of that shit.
No, I just thought that might be how he says it. Jared Leto.
Leto. I don't know.
Doesn't matter. He's a dumb person. I think his problem is he's a good supporting actor. He's a good like a weird funky character. You put him in a
he was great in Fight Club.
Was he in Fight Club?
Yeah, he was the pretty guy that Edward Norton beat up because
he was good in Requiem for a Dream, I think.
Yep.
Wasn't he in that? He was good in Dallas Buyers Club.
Never saw it.
Yeah, I think he won an Oscar for that one. I thought he was fine in Blade Runner. Played a weird, creepy guy.
Yeah.
I don't mind him in stuff like that.
Just give him tiny roles. Don't make him the main character.
Yeah, don't make him the main character, and for God's sake, don't make him the Joker. But yeah, man, it was rough. But let us know what you thought down in the comments. Are we completely off base, or did we nail it? Because I don't know. I don't see a lot of people liking this movie, but what are you gonna do? Like and subscribe while you're down there commenting. We do appreciate it. It really helps us out, helps us beat the old YouTube algorithm. And if you're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, or any of the other pod sites, just give us a little subscribe, leave us a comment, rate us 5 stars. We do appreciate you guys. And if you want to take it one step further, check out patreon.com/nerdswithfriends. Become a patron today. Help support us. And, who knows? If the Patreon gets big enough, maybe we can buy Sony.
Yeah, one day.
One day. Christian, I'm sorry we had to see that movie.
We'll watch Sonic next.
Yeah, maybe Sonic will be a good one. To all the nerds out there, remember, you're not alone. You're with friends. This is Nerds with Friends. Thank you and good night.